Welcome back. When Kiwi businessman Simon Kola decided to source the key ingredient for his cola drink from Sierra Leone, it didn't just change the local producers' lives, it changed his. The West African country is probably best known for blood diamonds and the use of child soldiers during its brutal civil war. But for Simon, it's a place whose people have captured his heart. Now, warning, this story does contain some confronting material. John Hudson reports.
There's no electricity there. They get up in the morning when the sun comes up and they go to bed when it gets dark. Their floors are dirt. It's pretty primitive, but they look after each other. You know, they have a really strong community spirit. I like going there. I like seeing these people.
Simon Kola is back in Sierra Leone.
Where's your hair gone? You're like me now.
Back in Boma village to visit the people of Tiwai.
Every time we go, there's dancing. And this time there was a young woman dancing with an orchestra of sort of chanting and drums, kicking up dust and doing these kind of whirling dances. It was fantastic.
Thank you for making us feel so welcome here.
Simon is one of the founders of Kiwi drinks company Karma Kola.
5 years ago, I never thought I'd be standing in this place talking to all of you about what we've managed to do together.
In 2011, they struck a deal with the people of Tiwai
This is where the jungle probably starts.
to buy a bag of kola nuts harvested in the nearby rainforest. It's a tricky business.
So there's two ways of harvesting cola. Either you use a very long stick, or you climb up a tree and use a very long stick.
The nuts grow in pods high up in the canopy.
Give it a shove, that's it.
They're encased in a protective white pith.
It's quite sweet. And then it gets bitter as you chew it more.
In Sierra Leone, kola is symbolic.
They use it to socialise, to greet each other, in naming ceremonies, and it's a folk medicine.
We say he who brings cola brings peace.
He who brings cola brings peace.
Yes.
It's the peace nut.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And these people certainly know the value of peace. For 11 years, Sierra Leone was racked by civil war. About 50,000 people lost their lives, some at the hands of child soldiers forced to fight for the rebel army.
They started to grab our children, they took them away. They raped our wives in front of us. They killed our brothers and sisters in front of us.
It's not easy to talk about or to hear.
The rebels were told to do things like choose one or two people in the village and they would be harmed. They'd have their arms chopped off.
It was so horrible, we had to flee into the forest.
They took what they could, but when they returned, their villages had been burned and their farms ruined.
It was a complete setback. There was no money, so it took a time for us to get back to normal life.
Today, the kola is helping them recover.
Like 2 bags of cola nuts, that can bring in some good cash that I can take care of my family. So our lives rebuilt again. We survive.
Well, we needed the original ingredient. We couldn't really call it Karma Kola unless we used the real thing and it was benefiting someone that was growing.
It was fair trade entrepreneur Albert Tucker who introduced Simon to the people of Tiwai.
We said, look, we're trying to find some cola. We know it comes from West Africa. You're in Sierra Leone. Could you find us some? And he said, no problem.
Albert could see the opportunity, but at first the locals wondered if selling their peace nut overseas would be a good thing.
They were a bit perplexed by the request, but they managed to gather up 5 kilograms of cola nut and they mailed it to us. So we got it in a little courier bag.
Through customs in a little courier bag?
Yeah.
The next lot of kola nuts didn't make it.
Unfortunately, MAF weren't that keen on us bringing it in our backpacks. So it was incinerated.
They had to come up with a more effective way of getting kola through border security.
So plan B was what?
Plan B was vodka.
Ah, why not?
The vodka sterilises it and makes sure that nothing other than cola arrives in the country.
The vodka is evaporated off before the nuts are thoroughly washed to ensure an alcohol-free product. For the people of Tiwai, selling nuts to Kiwis has been life-changing.
We sent them a box of 15 bottles and they were amused. They tasted it. They'd never tasted anything like that before. Then 6 months after that, we sent them a cheque. And the cheque was for about $10,000 US. And that's when they started taking things slightly more seriously.
Before Kamakula come, no motor vehicles could enter Boma because there was no bridge.
When Simon arrived at Boma village, there was a surprise waiting for him.
They were standing on a bridge that had been built with the proceeds of that first About Us sales. We had a few simple rules we put around the use of the money. One was that it be spent on things that be of benefit to the entire community, not to individuals. That it would help them develop resources that were sustainable.
But you're not a charity.
No.
How do you balance the charitable side of the business with the bottom line, the profit?
It's important for us to be profitable because we want the business to run of its own merit. We're not just a drink. The cause that's behind us creating and selling the product is as important as the product itself.
It doesn't change the fact, though, that you're producing a sugary drink.
There are two ways of addressing it. One is that don't drink too much of it. If you're really thirsty, drink water. But we've also just developed a no-sugar version. There are about 2 billion Kola branded soft drinks consumed in the world a day. We thought we could sell a small amount of that 2 billion to do some good for the people who were producing the name ingredients.
After the break,
Girls tend to get the raw deal.
changing the life of a former child soldier.
Umu has this incredible resilience. If there's anything we can do to help her get ahead, we should. Hey, Albert.
The person whom you're trying to reach.
So naively, I thought that it would be really easy to run a business like this on the internet, but not in the middle of West Africa.
Here we go. There you go again.
I'm sure the bandwidth in Sierra Leone will improve over time. Perhaps that's a project we could work on. How are things back in Boma?
Things are all right in Boma.
Simon's company has several long-term projects on the go, benefiting 8 villages in the Tiwai community.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the Tiwai Island.
Tiwai Island is a wildlife sanctuary on the Moa River, a prime destination for eco-tourists.
Hindu was considering some tourism efforts that might help bring people to the area.
When we were last there, that jetty was a bit wobbly. Yes.
I don't remember there being a jetty, I just remember jumping in a boat from the mud. The rainforest is such a rich environment to travel through. I think it'd be quite exciting to take people there. They can all benefit from accommodating and guiding tourists around the area.
Which is home to the rare Diana monkey. But at the moment, the guides need to be guards as well.
It's because the poachers come to the island and kill some monkeys.
It's hoped they can eventually convince those poachers to swap hunting for gamekeeping and a share in a sustainable future. But there have been far worse troubles on the road to recovery. An Ebola outbreak 3 years ago killed 4,000 people in Sierra Leone. Travel was limited, Boma isolated, cut off from its main food market.
A couple of women volunteered to lease motorbikes and drive into the market, and they petitioned us, and we said, why not?
Microloans from Simon's company enabled new trade to flourish.
They started being grocers on motorbikes, basically. And they set up little stalls outside their houses, and now there's probably 10 of them doing that. It's helped the local community and given them work.
And the help doesn't end there.
Mr. Salmon.
In Tiwai, there's a hunger for learning. But it's not always available to everyone.
Traditionally, the kids that get educated are the eldest sons. Girls tend to get the raw deal.
So they set up a scholarship program for female students.
We have close to 80 girls with scholarships in primary school and secondary school, and we think the first girl from the village will be admitted to university in the next month or two.
Education give woman independence.
At an Auckland photographic exhibition featuring the people of Tiwai, money is being raised for another young woman's tertiary education. Umu is 24, a former child soldier, abducted at 5 and sexually abused from the age of 6.
When she was raped, one of them said, "Now you are going to be my wife." She told them, "I'm not the age to be a housewife. My intention is to go to school."
She's a kid that suffered from the hardship of a 10-year war, lost her family, and now wants to try and even the school by becoming a lawyer.
They raised $7,000, enough to pay a year's tuition fees for Umu.
She's symbolic of the kind of thing that we could do as this endeavour progresses.
How do you feel about these people now that you've experienced so much with them?
It's not often someone from my background gets to have the experience of living amongst, people that have been through the kind of hardship that Umu and Hanawara have. So, whether I like it or not, I'm there for the long haul.
They're a part of your soul?
You could say that.
And they carry everything on their heads in West Africa. So if you go to market, this woman's got her handbag on her head.
Wherever he goes.
Hello?
How many languages do they speak?
Simon is keen to share his experience of Sierra Leone.
Yes?
Do they have whiteboards like we do?
No, they don't. They have old blackboards with chalk.
And here at Green Bay Primary, the Kola cultural contact is catching.
I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if our class connected with the class over there and we learned from each other?
It's very dry today, isn't it?
A bushwalk in Piha is a long way from a trek through the Boma jungle.
Should we look for some birds, you guys?
Once you hear one, they all start up.
Simon's partner Jody and daughters Sophia and Lulu haven't been to Sierra Leone, but their dad did set them up with pen pals.
They were writing what they wanted to be. Most of them wanted to be nurses because they wanted to help people, or just those kind of jobs because they've been through so much.
Would you want to go there?
Yeah, I would love to go there, actually.
I want to go.
But not as a tourist.
I'd like to get to know the people and see how they live. I don't want to be one of those stuck-up people who go over there and try and make them live how we do.
We had some bitter cola before. Yeah. Very good.
What's your end goal for them? Self-sufficiency?
I think ultimately for them to know that they have an economy that doesn't require us to be the enabler would be great. So if we could walk away with a few products they can sell that are going to guarantee the village has got income, then I think that's the measure of self-sufficiency.
Simon may be in the business of doing some good, but for him, it's the people of Sierra Leone, the survivors, who set an example to all of us.
I see in them a really positive outlook for the future, and we can all learn a lot from that.
And the beautiful footage of Sierra Leone in that story was shot and directed by former Sunday producer Phil Prendeville. Now, if you'd like to help Umu achieve her dream of becoming a lawyer, just go to our Facebook page for details.